Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the show. This is your host of WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, the Barber Shop, Dr. Christopher Salute. Today, we are talking about, Cece, what did we even title this show? We're talking about romantic partners and resolving conflict within the holidays. Cece's always good about bringing in some catchy phrases and some catchy titles. Give me 1 second as you are talking about holidays and love, right? Give me a second while you are just kind of tuning in. I like to just share the show to some of the groups. If you are in one of the groups that I share the show to, please forgive me for doing this. We do get a lot of folks who like to watch the show from the actual from the sharing of it. So I appreciate you supporting. What I'm going to do also is how do we do this? I never remember how to click on the show. Here we go. And then I want to share it. I want to share it into a watch party. Oh, there we go. Share it to a watch party. Start watch party. I'll be notified when people come to the show. Okay, cool. So I'll just lean you up here and we'll hang out. Awesome. And it looks like Candace is on, which I love. Candace Von Tobel, you're fantastic. Candace and I, we'll get started in a second, but Candace and I were actually, we were just being friendly on each other's walls. This is something that if you're new, if you haven't done Facebook in a long time, we used to, put on people's walls their, like videos and hellos and that kind of stuff. And Candace was like, you know what? I want somebody to post a video on my wall. And I was like, you know what? Cool, I'll post on your wall. And so I posted a video on her wall. First, I posted some silly internet videos on her wall. And she said, no, that's not how you're supposed to do it. You got to do it this way. So I posted a cute little video. And let me tell you, Candace, I think if I may, we went on 1 or 2 dates. I don't remember, maybe 3. I don't recall. And Candace was always so stunning and just such a beautiful, beautiful woman. And she put her glowing face on my wall back because I sent her a video. And I was like, what was I thinking? Like, what? There she is. What was I thinking? Like, letting this one go? Like, what the hell, man? Like, what's wrong with you? She's freaking gorgeous. Like, her glowing, shining smile is on my Facebook wall. And I'm like, God, are you married? Like, let's go. Let's go out to dinner. Speaking of dinner, I have my friend Chris here in the studio today. Chris is from New York. You can give a little wave if you want. You're welcome. I don't know if you're dressed to come hang out. I'm
just too comfortable.
Yeah, that's fair. Chris is hanging out in the studio today. We're going to go get some guy time. We're going to get some sushi. My life coach specifically said to me, she goes, it's good that Chris is there. You definitely need some guy time. And I'm in need of guy time. I haven't been doing shows for the past couple of weeks, and I apologize. I've been very tired and sick. I was sick for about a week. And what tends to happen around the end of the semester is, and how do can I share the show? Can I invite people? I don't know. It'll let me do that later. What ends up happening towards the end of the semester, if you don't know me, I own 3 magazines. Here's a couple of the magazines I know. FabuPlus you can grab in any store. Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, some CVS, Walgreens, I think, some grocery stores. Bold magazine you'll find exclusively online, as well as a few events that we work with as well. So feel free to pick any of these up. So, it's the end of the semester. I'm like putting together these magazines, I'm selling these magazines. We just put together I'm just inviting people to the room. We just put together our Bold magazine, Bold Bosses calendar, which is like, let me tell you something. Not only are the Bold Bosses some of the most beautiful folks in the world. I mean, they are just so wonderfully, just amazing, incredible people. But this calendar didn't really focus on looks. I mean, yes, they're beautiful smiles and wonderful people and all this kind of stuff, but all the calendar pages had profiles, had really in-depth profiles about these women and men who are our Bold Bosses. So really exciting stuff. So it's been exhausting. And so I got really tired. I got a little sick, and I had to take a couple of weeks off just for my own well-being, for my own, for me. And so my life coach said, and she's also a dear friend. She said, you could definitely use some guy time. So we're going to go grab some sushi. But thank you, Candace, for coming on. I see Sam's on. Tonight's topic is going to be love and the holidays, how we resolve conflict around the holidays. And I've taken some notes, but I figured we'll get to know each other. We'll hang out a little bit. If you're new to the show, welcome. If this is your 10th or 100th time, I think we've been doing the show for a little over a year now. You typically might see me start a show with a movie or book reference. I'm just going to hit my heater a little bit, make sure we've got some heat, with a movie or book reference. And I thought, what better a movie to... Chris, have you ever seen Four Christmases? Vince Vaughn, Reese Witherspoon? No, I haven't. So not a movie guy. These two folks... Yeah, you're right. Not a movie guy. So these two folks, it's called Four Christmases. They are like madly in love. One of my favorite scenes in this movie is they're doing dancing lessons, ballroom dancing, and they're with a bunch of couples. And I've done this before, both with a partner and with somebody that I was just having fun with, a friend, not having fun with in that way. And you do find a lot of couples who are getting ready for a wedding or what have you. And so they're sitting down after the dance lesson and people are like, "Hey, when's the wedding?" And they're like, "Wedding? What are you talking about, wedding? There's no wedding." And they're like, "Well, what are you practicing your dancing for?" I'm still just inviting people to the show. It's like, "What are you practicing your dancing for?" And they go, "Because we'd like to do a lot of stuff together. Like, we love each other. It's just what people do when they're in love, that we do stuff, And you just couldn't break this bond. They had a really great bond. The scene opened in the movie with, it was really cool. I don't know if you've ever done this with a partner, but she plays a character and he plays a character, and they meet at the bar and they see if they kind of hit it off. And she kind of talks a little rough with him, and he kind of like takes his glasses off and, dominates. And she's like, "Whoa," and the whole bar is like, "What the heck?" And they don't realize that it's a scene because they met at the bar, So they're madly in love. They even have this little fun interaction. And in the movie Four Christmases, they're caught in the lie that they tell their families every Christmas, which is they go to like some far off nation and do nonprofit work, do charity work. And they're caught because there's a fog happens and they can't get on the flight. And so there's the news is there, and they see. So now they've got two sets of parents per partner because they both come from divorce. And they've got to have 4 Christmases. And so, I'll spoil a movie because if you haven't seen 4 Christmases by now, it's like 10 years old. You just, sorry. But it's a holiday movie, but it could very well just be a love movie about what they're learning about each other that they didn't really get to within intimate conversations because their family are exposing them because they hadn't met that many folks in the family. And it just kind of got me thinking about partners around the holidays and the conflicts that can arise. And throughout the movie, I'm talking to Chris too because he hasn't seen it. You see a lot of conflict that they need to resolve because they're like learning about each other and they're kind of ticked off that they didn't know these things and how do we navigate this? And so it got me thinking about, holiday pressure, how to resolve conflicts with partners around, how to resolve conflicts. And you tell me, maybe Chris, this is something I could bounce off you. I know I personally, if I'm resolving a conflict with a partner, I feel a lot of added pressure when there's someone else in the room because we have a language that we speak. Mm-hmm. Is that something you've encountered?
Yeah, I tend to joke around and use humor as a defense.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what works for me.
Yeah, and so you wouldn't necessarily maybe do that with a family member around because they might not get your humor, right?
Yeah, exactly. Inside jokes or whatever.
Right. Or I'm typically a pretty dominant guy, right? And I get people, you give off the daddy vibe or whatever, and so I might do the same thing. I'll joke around. A partner might, we might just be arguing about something, and I'll say, I can't even think of how I might say it, but I'd be like, well, don't you dare, you better get over here or something like that, like literally kidding around, but I would never say that in front of a family member because like, whoa, easy, it's kind of bedroom talk, so just adding someone else in the room when you're having a conflict can be a challenge, and it kind of got me thinking. First of all, before we even get into the challenge of conflicts during the holidays and navigating the holidays, it got me thinking about, and whether you're in the audience, and if this is your first time watching the show or your 10th time watching the show, don't be silent. Like, give me some feedback. I love reading your comments. If you're in the watch party that I have going on here, your comment won't appear necessarily on the station, but I'll read your comment, if you want it to be read, and answer the question. Got me thinking about around the holidays, so Chris is here for New Year's. We're going to have a couple of folks over tomorrow night, socially distanced, trying to do everything the right way. We might walk around Fremont Street. I live in Las Vegas, so Fremont's kind of the downtown area. And it got me thinking that I don't really have a partner to kiss on New Year's Eve. It's one of the first times I don't have somebody on New Year's Eve. Last year, I kind of had a partner, and she and I made New Year's Eve miserable. We were fighting and arguing. We weren't even together. We were in states away. Tomorrow, I won't have a partner. And Chris, I don't think you're dating somebody actively at the moment. And it got me thinking about how sad it can be, how happy and rejoiceful you can be if you were in a relationship that wasn't right for you, and you're now free to enjoy the holidays on your own. But if you're truly ready for that partner, and it's something that you value, how challenging it can be to navigate a holiday without a partner. So I think that's one of the main reasons that around the holiday season, I don't know if you can correct me or somebody else here, that we tend to, with cuffing, you've heard of cuffing season? Have you heard of this?
I have not, no.
Cuffing season, my ex used to joke about it. It was, she used to joke about a lot of things. The time at which you cuff a partner, you take a partner for the holidays. They say for the winter, right? Because we're hunkering down for the winter. We need to have somebody to snuggle with. We're not at the beach partying, being all sexy. This is time for don't shave your legs, throw some sweatpants on, put your hair in a bun, don't shave your face, have your partner. First of all, I have a lot of problems with everything in that scenario. I think the same way you look when you don't have a partner is the same way that you should look when you do have a partner, but in both ways. I don't love folks, I don't care, men, women, whoever, who go out of their way to look super, 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 super attractive to hook someone, and then, don't, change their appearance for both reasons. One is, some of the most beautiful people that I've dated, beautiful both physically and internally, have not. I've loved. We were just saying today, the level of intimacy that I have loved about previous partners was how they smelled in the morning. I loved their smell in the morning. I loved how they tasted. I loved. That's the vibe I want. I want to wake up and love someone, right? And so I don't love that idea. But secondly, I don't love the idea of finding someone that so you can finally be yourself again. You should have been yourself in the beginning, and you should definitely be yourself, with your partner. So we meet each other under false pretenses, and we survive under duress when we change that. So anyway, so I was thinking about this idea that we tend to want to find partners during the holidays. We want someone to spend the holidays with, and it's awkward. I spent my holiday. How did you spend your holiday? I know that you've got some family things going on. I don't want to get into them on the air, but how did you spend your holiday this year?
Just with a small amount of family.
Which is what a lot of us are doing this year.
The ones I want to be around.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's what a lot of us are doing this year. Really, taking our time to really spend it. I love inviting people to the show because I think a lot of people come to the watch party and they just enjoy it. So we'll just keep going as I'm continuing to invite. So I spent the holiday, as small as an Italian family is going to be, socially distanced, separate rooms, really small during Christmas. Christmas Eve is the big holiday for my family, for Italians. You're Sicilian, right? And probably about 12 or 13 people in the house, but a big enough house where, we were pretty socially distanced. And I'll be honest, other than my little cousins, and I say little, the oldest is 22 now. So they're full adults. They're all in college, at least. I was the only single one, and, is it painful? It's not great. It sucks. It kind of sucks. But at the same time, I didn't have to entertain someone, because the partner that I eventually want to bring into my life, and I'm sure you feel the same way, Chris, I don't want to have to explain. I want it to flow, right?
You don't want to have to feel like you have to.
Right. It shouldn't feel like you have to entertain someone. And so it begged the question, right? when do you do that, right? Let's talk about the holidays, and let's talk about the times in which you are inviting folks to your home to meet your family. What time is the right time to do that? And for me, a lot of my family includes, best friends. My best, greatest friend, Dave. He's like a brother. I mean, really like a brother. If you don't get along with this guy, we're not gonna work, right? He's gonna be in my life, right? It's gonna be a challenge. And so I started thinking about when you start inviting folks to your family gatherings, when what the right time is for gifts, and those are the types of things that I want to unpack today. And furthermore, why we feel the need to rush these things around the holiday. So I was further challenged. I started talking to someone fairly seriously, and I found out that we're not compatible, and I don't think that they are who they say they were. And I had purchased a pretty decent Christmas gift for this person. Why? Why do we do that?
I don't know, man.
It's like I don't have a ton of money. Honestly, I don't.
Haven't for a while.
Yeah, I hadn't bought a gift in a while for somebody that I truly cared about. It's not here, but the last gift that really meant something that I purchased for an ex was, I found it. It's hanging up inside. I brought me to tears. I had an ornament, a glass ornament, empty glass ornament, and we were going to fill it together. Well, I didn't give it to her. We were going to fill it together with memories. I was going to present her with this gift, and then we were going to put cut up some memories and put them in there. And I'll tell you, this is how I found it. It was a beautiful day a couple weeks ago in Vegas, and I'm like, today's the day. I'm going to delete. She had made Chris, by the way, had come with me to Vegas. He's the one who drove with me to Vegas. I've referenced him before in my show, and it was a great bonding experience. It took us about 5 days. Then we hung out. We partied a little bit in Vegas. We had some dinner, and by partied, we were in bed pretty early. And then he went home. And Chris was there when I was talking to my ex, and she made me some playlists, and I made her some playlists when we tried to get back together. And so it was a couple of weeks ago. I said, you know what? It's holiday season. I'm feeling pretty good. It's a good day. Today's the day. I'm going to delete the holiday playlists that the playlist that she made me and that I made her. They're hard. They're hard.
Really hard to do. No matter how much you might hate the person too.
Yeah, because the songs meant something. I found meaning in every song.
You remember the good.
Yeah.
All the good.
Right. It was really challenging. And then I said, you know what? That took me a little bit. And then I said, I'm gonna delete some photos. Now, I typically, and I don't know why I do this, but I've dated influencers and models and actresses and whatever, and people who tend to be a little bit more into the looks and the vanity and that kind of very attractive people. And some of them also were very wonderful people too. And I also had that level of narcissism, I think, for some time. And I think it's a terrible thing, honestly. So I then went into the phone and I'm like, I'm going to delete as many photos as I can get through. But, when you're taking photos for your influencer girlfriend on the strip of Las Vegas or by a pool, there's 80 of the same photo. It's hard to keep hitting that delete button when you're physically and emotionally attracted to somebody. So I said, you know what? I need a break. I just emotionally need a break. So I'm going to wrap some Christmas gifts. I was doing it right here. Go into the other room, pull out my bin of holiday wrapping, and I empty it on the thing, and out comes this glass ornament that I was going to give her for last Christmas that we were going to fill with memories. And I was going to put 100 ways that I loved, 100 reasons I loved about her. And I just freaking broke down. And that was the most meaningful, I didn't get to give her that gift. So this year I'm seeing somebody, I think she's the right person, and she winds up not being the right person. And it is what it is. So I wound up getting her a diamond bracelet. I bought it on Cyber Monday, so it wasn't as expensive as you might think. Mm-hmm. It wound up costing me about I'm not even talking about how much it cost me, but it was a nice gift. It was a decent gift. And I thought to myself, I care about this. I want to care about this person in a way that shows, I saw a future with this person. But I kept thinking to myself, there are 1,001 ways this thing can go wrong, and I'm investing a significant amount of time, energy, and money into a gift for this person. Is this the right thing to do? And obviously, it wasn't, because she wound up not being the right person for me. So I returned the gift. I spent that money before it was even returned. I wound up getting stocking stuffers. My roommate's an amazing guy. I'd love to have him on the show at some point. Hopefully he comes out to dinner as well. So I wound up just filling our stockings with stuff, and I got Joker some more stuff, and I got myself a few things, and it is what it is. But we are in these situations around the holidays where our attachment style, and if you've watched my show before, you should definitely read the book Attached. It's a great book. My life coach and dear friend got it. She freaking this is why I love this. Chris goes, why? Like, who is this person? You talk about her all the time. She gives me, and I say life coach because there's no other way. She's a dear friend. She gives me exactly the alignment that I need, exactly when I need it. And she's one of the only people, I don't care, male, female, alien, dog, whatever, that I do not challenge back, because she speaks in a way, I just know that she's going to be right. So there's no point if I go, you're right. In fact, the past couple of days, I've been so exhausted, I haven't been in touch with her as much as I should be. And she feels it, and I felt it. And it was upsetting. But she sent me this book Attached. And in this book, it talks about 3 different types of attachment styles. We've referenced this before in the show. We'll take a break in a second. But it talks about the 3 different attachment styles are secure, which we all hope to be, right? Secure, anxious, and avoidant, right? Now, I'm the crown jewel, baby. I am anxious avoidant. That is like 3% of the world is anxious avoidant, and that's right here. Secure folks are where we want to be, right? They don't rush things. They know that there's somebody out there. Avoidant folks tend to not ever want to be in a relationship, and the anxious folks are the folks who want to rush things. They want to make sure that they've got, and I'm not finished reading the book, so I may be paraphrasing a bit too much, but make sure that their partner loves them. And I think during the holidays, we all sometimes are subject to that bit of that anxiety, that anxious type of behavior, where we want to bring someone into our life, because the holidays can be a sad time if you don't have to be, but can be a sad time if you don't have somebody to share that time with you. This entire explanation has gone longer than I wanted it to be, because I get sidetracked. But we're about 20 minutes on the hour, about 22 actually. This is about the time where we take a quick silent break. If this is your first time watching the show or your 10th time watching the show, let me just explain to you what we do. We have sponsors that we put into the halftime of the show. So if you, sometimes Cece puts an ad in there, sometimes she doesn't, so I'm not sure. But we're going to take a quick 20-second break. Come back with us in a second. You're going to see some awkward sounds. I'm just going to be sitting here. This is WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. You are watching The Barber Shop with your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. Tonight, we are talking about love and the holidays, how to resolve conflict under that added pressure. We'll be right back with you with some anecdotes and some fun stories. We'll see you soon. Okay, and we're back. Let me just get this thing off the air. How do I do this? How do I get my my watch party back? Nope, no. Don't want to leave the watch party. Cancel. Okay, I don't know. We'll figure it out. So we're back on the air. This is WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. You are watching the Barber Shop. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. Today we are talking about holidays and love, how to resolve conflict under that pressure. And during the break, Chris brought up some really interesting information. Chris, I would love, could you talk about when you think it's time to bring your partner to your family? And this could be holiday or not, right?
It really depends on who you're with. I mean, if I can see traits in the girl that I'm with, in my brother or in my mother or my father, and I know that they can relate to her.
Yeah.
Then I have no, I'd love to have her.
Yeah.
It's when I'm not sure or I feel like I don't know her well enough.
Right.
That I keep her away until I know the water's not hot.
Right. And maybe the holidays aren't the right time then to introduce them, right?
Yeah.
I think that a lot too. So again, you talk about the folks in my family and my friends. I think I tend to be a mild person. I don't know. And because I tend to be mild, I think that I tend to attract some polarity, right? Some of my friends are opinionated. They're loud. My family is opinionated and loud. I think I can be opinionated and loud too. Let's talk about introductions in general. My family is a mixed bag, conservative, liberal, come from different generations, right? And I remember I was dating somebody who super opinionated. I used to call her like my warrior. She had some native blood in her, and I remember, she said something like, I was like, I want you to meet my family. I'm going to just preface it with, their opinions might differ from yours, and let's go in there and understand that if you're uncomfortable, you can leave the conversation and blah 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 blah. I remember her saying, "Well, they'd better not blah 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 blah," and I said, "Well, hold on a second. You're coming to my home, to my family's home. They'd better not do anything. It's not the problem. If they offend you, I'll be the first one to step in and say we're exiting this room, and that's fine. But don't start a conflict at my family dinner table of 30 people during the holidays. That's not the way you're going to. If you want this to work, this is not that level of disrespect isn't going to work. Now, if they disrespect you personally, well then I will be the first one to jump in front of the line, right? But otherwise, don't let's not have that level of conflict. And so it does, though. Whenever you're introducing multiple people, I was nervous. So Chris came with me to Vegas, and I've got a great roommate that I met after Chris left, months and months after Chris left, and I was nervous. I said, I wonder if Chris and my roommate are going to get along, and they seem to be getting along. But in any situation, when you're bringing multiple people into a room, right, you get along with certain people, but that you get along with them in different ways. My work group is going to be very different from my friend group, right? My friend group might be different from my magazine group, my bold group, right? So it's just a very different, these different types of folks. And so I think about bringing these folks in for the holidays, and I think about what type of oh gosh, how do I say this? What energy, right, are you bringing to this atmosphere? And is that energy going to vibe? Now, my energy doesn't always vibe, right? I conflict with my family. I conflict with my friends all the time, right? And I try to do it in a respectful manner. Sometimes I get ticked off. Sometimes I storm out of the room. Sometimes I'll use a cuss word, whatever. That's that. But is your energy going to complement the folks in the room? Moreover, my whole thing is I love learning. And my life coach, she loves to say, "What can I learn from you?" And that's a mantra that I've always adapted, even before then. When you come to this room, this family room, what are you going to bring to the room that's going to educate other folks, add to the room? Because as we said earlier,
garnish.
Yeah, right. Or are you going to be a garnish, right? Are you going to be that compliment in that way, right? Or did you mean that negatively or positively? Yeah, positively. Yeah, you're going to compliment in that way, right? Because some people are not extroverts in that way. To me, it's challenging. I'm like 100% extrovert. And so to date somebody who's not extroverted for me is a challenge because I need more input, right? So you ever see Short Circuit?
Oh, yeah.
Need input, right? Like that's me. I'm that computer, like need input. I need more people, And so introverts and me tend to not work anyway. But,
Are
you going to add to that room?
Well, with introverts too.
Yeah.
It's going to take it'll take me longer to feel comfortable bringing them to my family because it takes longer to get to know them.
Right. Yeah. Right. And this is where it comes to, I think what Chris said at before the show even started, he said, well, I think you were alluding to, well, like, can you even have a general topic on this? Because like, isn't every person different, right? And that's the whole point of having the show, right? Is that every person, we go through the different scenarios of how it's different. There are certain people where I met them, we clicked. I mean, I met my ex-wife in college. So she and I we shared the same friends and we shared the same interests. So it like wasn't even, if I had a new friend that I met, which was like rare because we went to a small school, I wouldn't even have thought twice because we were, you talked about, do they have the same traits? Like the way I say it is like, are they my people, right? Are they our people, right? And that's not to say that I don't love diversity and I don't love diversity of thought and diversity of all sorts, but do they have the good vibe? The guy on this cover of the magazine Roulette, he was introduced to me through our editor-in-chief, Janet, and I'll be honest, I don't know if you're watching Roulette, but he just had his show a couple of minutes ago. And Janet was like, hey, I got this guy, and he's going to be in Vegas. I would love to, get him involved with the magazine and do it, maybe make him a bold boss. Would you meet him? I said, sure, I'd love to meet him. Well, it just clicked. Like it's like we hung out and it's like within 10 minutes, I'm like, we're buying drinks, we're hanging out, we're eating. And I'm like, bro, when are you coming back? Come stay at my place, like all that kind of stuff. And so he's my people. Now, if you look at Roulette and you look at me, we are completely different sides of the spectrum. Roulette, and I'm not sharing anything that he hasn't shared on the show. Roulette is a plus size, queer, Black person of color, hip hop artist, and probably 1,000 and other things. I mean, he grew up. He grew up learning how to sell drugs from his mother. And he says that it's not. I'm not giving you information that's new to you. I grew up in suburbia of suburbia, lily white, Irish, Italian, Jewish, Catholic, to the point where some of the wealthiest zip codes in the country, which it probably are then some of the wealthiest in the world, border my zip code. I thought I was poor because I was looking at folks who had way more gifts than I had during Christmas, right? And I'm like, am I poor? I swear to God, I don't mean this in a way to denigrate my family or to say that my father didn't provide. I had everything I could ever dream of when I grew up. I didn't understand how different my life was than other people. So when I say my people, I don't mean, did you grow up like that? Because to be honest, we were talking about this earlier, I don't really get along with people who grew up like that. I sit in board meetings or I meet people who have family money and, like if, I didn't want to get into these conversations. Those aren't my people, right? That's my people, right? Do you share the same heart? Do you share the same way of thinking? Do you have high integrity? Are you a person either of faith or maybe do you believe in some sort of cosmic energy in the universe? Like that's important to me, right? If not, what's your reasoning for it? Is there a logic around it, right? Do you treat people with respect? Do you badmouth a server when they leave the room? Because that's a no-go for me. How do you treat my dog? How do you treat your dog? Do you have a dog? Because if you don't, that's also probably a problem, right? These are the things that make people my people. So when I'm bringing them to my table, to my holiday table with my family, those are the types of things that I think about. Not necessarily because you could have a conflict. You're a pretty opinionated guy, yes, right? If I brought Chris to my dinner table, I would venture to say you would disagree with something somebody said.
Yeah, but I'm also polite, and I wouldn't
right,
say anything that I would think would make you uncomfortable.
Right. But it's okay that you disagree with folks. I think if you disagree with them in a way that has high integrity, you're fine, right? And maybe at the end of the conversation, go, that made me pretty uncomfortable. I'm gonna go have a cigarette or like whatever.
I'll talk about it on the way home.
Yeah, I'll talk about it on the way home. But those are the types of things I think about when I'm bringing folks into my room. Elizabeth, conflict can arise from unmet expectations, so we can help manage our partner's expectations ahead of the holidays introductions and go into it prepared. I mean, like, is she brilliant? She's brilliant, Elizabeth. So I love that. And that's the next conversation that I wanted to have is in this movie, in Four Christmases. You didn't see the movie yet. It's a great movie. You can watch it. Do you like holiday movies? Are you a holiday guy? Yeah. I'm a little holiday out, and my roommate will tell you, he goes, I'm literally like the Grinch, man. I'm like Scrooge. Like, stop with your, like, he's like, enjoy your holiday stuff, but like, don't try to get me involved. You know, I even got him, stemless wine flutes that said "Lighten Up, It's Christmas," which I thought was kind of funny, and they had holiday lights on them. But back to Elizabeth's point. What's that? Yeah, a little jab. But he, all in good fun. So Elizabeth says setting expectations. In the movie Four Christmases, they didn't set expectations. And, it's a comedy. So it's like, that's what's supposed to happen, right? You don't set the expectations, you don't expect that happens, and whatever. There is a scene where he says to her, the safe word was blueberry or something like that. I don't remember. Maybe that might be my safe word. The safe word was like, I don't know, Grinch or something like that. I forget what it was called. And so, he's like, anytime you want to say the safe word, and he's trying to pressure her to say the safe word. She's like, no, I'm good. Like I'm in this, you know what I mean? And, but I agree with Elizabeth. That's the next step is setting those expectations, but you have to be comfortable with your partner before you can even set those expectations.
Yeah, it'd be rare that it would be a new relationship.
Yes. Right. Well, because I think about, this is club soda, by the way. I don't drink during my show. But do you like I thought it's a men's show. I should get the men's mug out. But being comfortable enough with your partner to set that expectation, which goes back to the conversation. If you're not comfortable enough to set the expectation, you're probably not comfortable enough to introduce your family to that person. And we tend to do this where we rush these things, where we say, I'm ready for this. I want you during the holidays. There's nothing wrong with saying, we're going to celebrate our holiday on December 27th.
So they might think that society that's what they think they should do.
Right. Yeah. This is where we need to be.
Yeah.
That to me is an issue, because I tend to try to find this balance where I'm trying to show someone that I'm into them. So I want to move forward in the relationship, but I need to do what's right because I want the relationship to last long. We are in this situation now. Are you on any apps? Are you actively trying to date?
I've never used online dating.
You've never?
No.
Ever?
Nope.
How do you find your people?
The old-fashioned way.
Okay, cool.
I just go out. I mean, I'm the type of person that can, and I've always, even our mutual friend,
right,
Jason, would always say, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you just go up to people and just start talking.
Yeah.
I just.
But you were talking to the guy talking about your tattoos today.
Yeah.
So that's.
I love people, and I guess I love, it's just natural.
Yeah. We go to the. We're having a couple people over for New Year's Eve. I'm going to order some Cane's or Church's chicken. It's basically the same thing. So I'm going to get some, some pickings. And then I got some meats and cheeses. I was going to get chips, and my roommate brought up a good point. He goes, you pick up these chips for everybody. You eat them because you're cutting loose for the night. And then you have like a ton of chips for the next 2 weeks that make you sick. And chips and crackers and stuff just make me sick. Meats, pork rinds, high fat, high protein tend to make me feel better. And then Chris was like, well, what do you mean you don't want to let loose for the night? And I said, no, if I eat what I want to eat, like the stuff that the bad food, not bad. Food does not have a bad or good, excuse me. The stuff that is a treat for me, or that I'm not really, doesn't make me feel that great, but that I tend to enjoy, I'm done for the night. I mean, put me to bed at midnight. I can't have another drink. I'm done. I'm sleeping. I'm feeling sick. I might even throw up. So we're out, we're buying some food, and I went to go buy some booze, and I forgot my damn ID. So we wound up separate story. We wound up at different cash registers because he had some stuff he wanted to buy to make some food tonight. And he comes back, I couldn't buy the drinks, and we're exiting the store, and all of a sudden this guy stops him talking about his tattoos. And you had a conversation previously, is that, or he just stopped you?
No, he just stopped me.
Oh, okay.
He said he's always wanted to get a tattoo like mine. And,
okay.
Some people, I mean, I've seen people kind of brush other people off.
Yeah.
I love interacting.
Yeah. And he just has, and I'm like, so even me, as extroverted as I am, I'm like, I'm out. I'm like out. And I waited for a good couple minutes, and we reconnected. But the point is when we're talking about how you meet your folks, is we tend to be in these situations where we want to rush these things. Maybe not we as in the collective, you and I, but collectively as a society. I think we're just, in general, we've forgotten how to do this. Like I'm not really on any apps right now. I don't know what the next step is, but I'll tell you one thing is I'm not going to bring somebody into my home, the home of my heart, and into the home of my family who is not our people, right? And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean that they need to be like me, Lily White, grew up in the suburbs of coming of wealth. No. High integrity, somebody who can have intelligent conversation, who can debate properly, right? Who can do these things, who won't be somebody who is necessarily, gonna charge and storm out of the room and those types of things. But also, as we said earlier, I don't know if we said it online or offline. I'm an outgoing person, and you might see me. I would imagine you're the same way, unless you're a little bit more thoughtful than I am. I very much try to understand where my partner's at in the room. 110%. Okay. Always want to make sure that I know where my partner's at. But I do get caught up, right? We were telling stories on Christmas Eve that were like old family stories. I was like, what? That really happened? I was out having a cigar for like almost 2 hours. Listening to these stories. My dad was telling me like amazing stories. It happens. You don't see. I hadn't seen my father in a long time. We saw each other on Thanksgiving, and then this Christmas. Before that, it was like almost a year. So we were catching up. I need to know that you can hold your own and be an extrovert, and or that you're cool just in your corner because you don't want to hang out with people, but you're not giving off a vibe that's angry because I'm not there, right? That is an important. Hold on. That's an important understanding that I need to have with my partner. Look, if I leave you alone for a while, are you okay? It's not my intention, right? But it goes back to Elizabeth's, her comment, setting that expectation. We were talking about some partners that I felt. Well, I was really talking about you said you had a partner that was like the one that got away earlier, right? Yeah. And I don't know if I've had a few of those, but I don't know. I think they got away for a reason, But one such partner, the partners who I tend to remember the most of are the ones who they weren't the dazzle, the influencers, the 50 to 120 gajillion followers, the actresses, the makeup style people. They were the people I could just laugh with. They were the people who, we'd walk our dogs or we'd make a sandwich and we'd hang out. And that's what I miss. That's what we want during the holidays, right? That's the level of gray sweats, blanket, popcorn, throwing it at each other, burping,
Or I would start singing a song with this one girl and she'd start singing with me.
Yeah.
It was just what we do.
Right. Just the flow, right? Yeah. It's a flow that you have. And I had this partner, and God, she was just such a great person. She really was. I remember there were a couple of weeks. We grew up on Long Island. There were a couple of weeks where not only were we authentic, yes, agreed with that for sure, Cece. Not only were we both in the local newspaper. We were in the local newspaper sometimes the same day, not the same week, the same day. So one time we were on the same page because we were both so outgoing and charity work, and we did so many things that brought us joy. And I remember thinking to myself as I was getting ready for this show, I didn't have to think twice about bringing her to a holiday. We started dating. It was in August, and it wasn't even. I mean, August to December is a long enough time, but we started integrating our families within 60 days at the most, and they just clicked.
It's also family dynamic too.
Oh, sure. Do they get along? Yeah. But our families were very different. We're different. Yeah, but they were different in a way that complemented each other, and they were respectful and that kind of stuff. Now I think about somebody who I dated, and she was the dazzle, right? She was the actress, she was the famous, and she was the this and the that and the pretty, and everyone wanted to be around her, and so they thought they did, and whatever. The reality is, and this is why I hate social media, and this is why I really am going to change. I've been changing. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions at all, but I've already started to make the change for 2021. But just I didn't care. It didn't have to be January 1st. I was making this change months ago. I'm only going to be using social media to get my message out about my books, about my faith, about the brand partners that I work with. This is, by the way, King Collection, which I love. Candace puts together some really great outfits, and I'm wearing Paparazzi by Brita. And I don't know if she is watching today. She usually listens to our show for sure. But I only supported small business for the holidays this year. But anyway, you think that these people who have all these followers are well liked and respected and loved, and sure, maybe they are. Nobody knows who they are. They think they do. Not one of those 150, 200,000, 700,000 followers, millions of people who watch their movie or show, not one person can tell you how they smell in the morning. Not one. Not one person can tell you what specific food makes them burp at midnight. Not one of those people can tell you the brand of toothpaste that they use, or what their decibel level of anger is when they're hungry, right? Like that, those types of things. So do they really like that person, or do they like what they know of that person? Right. So this was one of those people. And I remember she got introduced to my family early on. There was a tragedy. There was some trauma that happened, and she got introduced to my family. And I just remember thinking to myself, this is not going to work. And I wish that it was a fleeting moment, because I was so attracted to this person physically and who I thought that they were, that you were saying, catching the red flags so they don't hit you, and so it just didn't work. The family dynamics, there's no way that our families would have sat down together for Thanksgiving or any holiday or a barbecue. It just wouldn't have happened. And, it does bring about some stress in a relationship. But what I think the conclusion that we've gotten to tonight is, and this is typically what happens, is I come into a show thinking one thing, and then here's what I'll tell you I learned, right? Normally I have somebody, and Chris, I'd love to invite you on the show when you're, when you're not on vacation, and we can sit side by side and we'll pick a topic and we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
But, I think what we learned tonight, what we come to the conclusion of, is there's no set timeline. There's no, 65 days is when you invite somebody for the holidays, and a certain percentage of your salary is how much you spend on a Christmas or holiday gift or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah or Festivus or whatever. No, it certainly is person by person, but I think what you need to focus on, and this is something I talked about when we were talking about my life coach today and my dear friend. I used to love the idea that, let me rephrase that. I didn't know that I loved the idea. I was comfortable with the fact that in any given relationship I would start or be in, I am a dominant person. I dominate a room. I don't dominate a single person. I dominate the room. You see me work a room and you're like, seriously? It's the presence that I bring to the room. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if my friends like me or not. I really don't. I hope that they do. I think I'm empathetic enough to understand that they like me. But maybe I'm out of touch. I don't know. The people who I was surrounding myself with were intimidated by me, and that not on purpose, because they didn't bring to the table what I brought to the table. And I think part of me liked the fact that I never needed to really tell somebody who I was under the surface, because they were in awe of how great I was, which is like complete crap, because I'm not that great. I have a couple of letters at the end of my name and whatever. I'm great because I have a strong heart, because I treat people with dignity, kindness, and respect, because I do anything for my friends, my partners, my loved ones, my family. I literally will do anything I can for someone that I care about. And because I'm creative and I come up with fun ideas. Like tomorrow we're doing Christmas for New Year's. For my birthday, we did a no cell phone rule where we didn't have our cell phones out. You would love it. The first person to check their cell phone. Yeah. The first person to check their cell phone on my birthday, and the two exceptions were if somebody couldn't find where we were and you were answering them, that's an exception, or you were taking a photo, right? But if you were checking your cell phone for any other reason, you picked somebody in the room and you bought a drink. So funny enough, I was the first person to do that because I'm a phone addict, and I bought my friend Shannon a drink. So that's why I think people like me, and I hope that they do. But the point is that you want to find people who are at that level. And I don't mean at that level, on the level in a bad way. I don't mean that you're above them and blah, blah. on your same level of respect, kindness, dignity, not necessarily education, because we all come from different levels of education, but levels of an intellect where you can calmly debate about something over a holiday table, because politics are going to come up at some point, right? Or something, right? Those are the people, the shared traits, the my people conversation. If they're not your people, then that's the answer. Not only is that the answer about the holidays, but might be the answer about January 2nd too. Like, might be time to find your people, right? Now, the caveat is maybe you don't know yet, and that's fine. And then in that case, I think we err on the side of caution and we say, I don't know yet if you are the type of person that meshes with my people yet, and that's fine because we're getting to know each other. I'm going to err on the side of caution. Let's not rush into this. If you are who I want you to be, because that's what we're trying to find anyway. We're always, in my opinion, I cannot stand these one night stand. There was a time in my life when I loved that, because I never wanted to. Well, you hate that, right? Yeah. There was a time in my life when I loved it. Couldn't, same level of emotional maturity. Yes, Elizabeth, right? I want to touch on that in a second. And then we got to quit. But I can't stand the fly-by-night the one-night stand crap that we're all doing lately. And it's part of the online, because we have so many options, right? I'm trying to find my forever partner, and I make no beef about that. But I also make no beef about the fact that you ain't it if you ain't it, right? And so if you're not it, then what's the point? Let's just, let's close out. But if you could be it, then what's the big deal? Let's skip this holiday. It's the same way I think about intimacy, physical intimacy. I've said this to people, because I've had friends. I've had women that I've wanted to be intimate with say, I'm going to come for the weekend, or I'm going to come over for the night. Okay, great. And if I want them to be that person, which I almost always do, I say, look, I am in no rush at this point, right? I am not trying to I'm not trying to be intimate with you, right now, because if I want to be intimate with you later in life, should it really matter that we did it now? Right? Let's wait until we're both sure we're ready. Otherwise, if we're rushing it, why are we rushing it? Because we want to do it? Because we don't know if there's going to be a tomorrow? Well, if we don't know there's going to be a tomorrow, then let's not focus on it today. Let's wait until tomorrow, right? So, yeah, it could be social pressure too. So we'll close out with Elizabeth's comment, which I love, the emotional maturity. This is something I've been battling and struggling with over the past couple of months, because folks who you try to have this conversation with, right? Let's say it's Chris and I say, Chris, man, I know you're my buddy, but we've just met recently. I don't know that I'm ready to bring you to my family right now. Now, he could react in a way that's negative, and he could, right? He may not have the emotional maturity, and I know you do. That's why I'm picking on you. He may not have the emotional maturity to understand what it is that I'm saying, that I value you as a person. I value this connection. Therefore, I'm not ready yet to bring you to my family. And I've had this happen a few times recently, where I want to explain to somebody why I've left, why they are not the person for me. And I think to myself, there's no way I say this if they get it. And business, friend, intimate, it has happened. All three of these have happened in the past 4 months, where I say, there's nothing I can say to this person where they're going to understand the depth and the level of value that I hold myself to, that they're not seeing.
You're not just validating your point.
Right. That's the point. It validates the point, and I think to myself, well, you're an idiot. Maybe you should have thought about that before you put yourself in that situation. And so, being a better gatekeeper, I think, is probably the end result of this conversation. Is we don't need to worry about, are they my people? Elizabeth, for example, who is my life coach and dear friend, I know that I could bring her to any single one of my circle of friends, and she may have differing opinions, but she would hold herself to, she's of high integrity, and she'll mesh in those circles. Anyway, I think the conclusion we've gotten to, if we've gotten to any conclusion tonight, is the level of the level of emotional maturity and the readiness that your partner has to enter that circle, whether it be friends, family, holidays, whatever, solely is held by whether or not they are your people. And time and experience are going to tell you those things. So there's no reason to rush that conversation. There's no reason to rush that event. Take your time with it, unless you know for certain that they're your people, and then sure, have at it. But again, if they are the person that you want to spend your forever world with, why are we rushing into that? There'll be other holidays. There'll be other Christmases, Hanukkahs, Kwanzas, Festivuses, Thanksgivings, Boxing Days, Martin Luther King days, Valentine's Day, whatever holiday that you hold dearest and near to you, there will be other holidays to invite that partner along. So I say, screw it. Hold off if you want to, or if you think you need to. There's enough time. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're now you're holding court or holding off two boxers in your family living room because you misjudged the situation. Right? Let's hold ourselves a little bit more accountable and say, let's be better gatekeepers at the front end so we can make these things last longer, whether it be holidays or otherwise, right? I want to thank you, Chris, for hanging out. We're going to grab some sushi. We're going to have some guide time. If it was your first show or your 10th show or your last show, because I said something that offended you, I do want to thank you for your time. This is WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host of the Barber Shop. My name is Dr. Christopher Salute. This is the show where we get in touch with our feelings, man to man. And men doesn't mean necessarily your stereotypical men. It could be anybody who identifies as a man. This is the place where we let go, we enjoy, we talk about things that are bugging us, that are concerning us, where we can just have those feelings and have those emotions, and there's no ego or pride or toxic masculinity in it. So typically when I have folks on the show, I say, what makes you a man? And I don't mean in a negative way, this toxic masculinity. I mean, what makes you you? I want to challenge you as well as you're thinking about bringing people into your world. What makes you you? And what makes them them? And are you the right match, whether it be holidays or otherwise? And on that note, again, I want to thank you for your time. This is the Barber Shop. Have a wonderful night. And thanks so much for spending time with us.